All right, Liza, let's get into the heavy hitting stuff. Let's talk about relationships.
Swipe left, swipe right.
Oh, that's one kind of relationship.
I don't even know what any of that
I think
means.
here today we're talking about a different type of relationship. We're talking about relationships with your mentors. Tell me why that's important, Liza. Why should I even care about a relationship with a mentor? I'm gone. I finished my internship. I'm out of here. Why does it matter?
Well, science is a small world. People, if for nothing else, even if you were like not nice, not a nice person.
Okay.
But you're a nice person. But even if you weren't.
We can imagine I'm not nice.
Just for a second. That even if you're not a nice person, at the bare minimum, it's a small world.
Mm-hmm.
And you could need these people later. So like worst case, you're the worst case scenario as a not nice person is that you need these people later because science is a small world.
Okay.
But there's more than that, right?
So I acknowledge that it's important to stay in touch, et cetera, et cetera. Pretend I'm a nice person. I'm done being mean. No longer a mean person. But I'm nervous. I'm scared. These are busy people, very busy faculty. They're very important. How do I get over that?
Well, have you ever helped anybody out?
Yeah.
Do you want me to follow up later?
Yeah.
To tell you how I'm doing?
Yeah. It's always good to hear from someone, right?
Right.
So how about if that student reached out to you and was like, Liza, thank you so much for the mentorship. I really appreciate it. I want to thank you for your time. And they give you like $100 gift card to Chili's to get some of those margaritas, some of those chicken crispers.
People mentor because they care about the thing, not because they want a Starbucks gift card or a steak dinner. And in fact, sometimes that can make people kind of uncomfortable if you're giving them stuff because you're a student and people know students often don't have a lot of extra cash to burn. Much better would be just shooting me an email. It's free and saying hi and tell me what you're up to.
Even better, a handwritten thank you note.
I love that. I have them posted like all over my wall.
I save all the thank you notes that I get. Yeah, so special.
And personalize, that's what people care about is that you personalize a message to them and maybe point out something that they did for you that had an impact on your life and what you're doing now.
So why don't we go and talk to a couple of pairs of interns and their mentors to get their hot takes on the mentoring relationship.
I think it's valuable that all interns stay in touch with their mentors because in the future they may need a letter of recommendation or they just would like academic, personal, or professional advice. And so since you've already established that connection with your mentor, it's going to be easy to just, shoot them an email about, questions about, classes to take or kind of career trajectory to take. So it's just really important to, keep that open line communication because you just never know if you'd like to reach out about a research opportunity.
I think one of the things that is really important is to make connections in science. I mean, science is very much still a little bit of a word of mouth business in the sense that when you're taking classes, it's actually easy to impress a professor, you got an A, etc. But you don't really have that many contact hours with the professor. So unless you've actually had a research experience where you spent time and had back and forth, talked about your career goals and aspirations, it's really hard for those standout letters of recommendation that'll make somebody take notice of you, whether you're applying to graduate school or applying for a job in the particular industry or in academia. So I think the 10-week CERT program is really a fantastic opportunity, not just to gain your skill sets, but to make this very powerful scientific connection with somebody who is going to be your advocate for the rest of your career, at least for the beginning of the rest of your career. And it's not just the mentors in the lab. Like in Isabel's case, she had a mentor who was a postdoc then, but is now a faculty member. And she was also in my lab, so I knew Isabel quite well as well. So suddenly she has two faculty members who can vouch for her and vouch for her hard work and skill and willingness to learn. So suddenly that's like a priceless thing in this business. That's the currency that'll make you really well known, because Isabel, may not stand out just by herself because there's just hundreds of people, but somebody who's had research experience in a really good institution like the Fred Hutchinson automatically gets a little bit more attention. And the more personalized that letter is going to be, the better the attention. That's why staying in touch is a really good idea, because you can sort of stay abreast, and then sometimes career goals change, and you should, take advantage of the network that your mentor has to offer.
I would say that maintaining these relationships is sort of it's a way to keep track of where you end up.
How will you rate me if you're kind and merciful in maintaining contact with you? I would accept a 3.5.
You want to agree on 3.5? Yeah, I think that you're a special case in that you ended up at grad school here. But in that case, when you came back to interview, we went and got brunch and hung out. When you started grad school, we got lunch again at the sushi place. I've tried to reach out every now and then. If I haven't heard from Ricky in a while, I'll
I mean, I went to lab meetings too.
Yeah, and then you joined our lab meetings for a while, and so it was kind of like, well, Ricky's always there, so it was actually really easy to keep in contact with you when Ricky's always around, in a great way. So I'm not saying that it was too much Ricky.
We need a number, Nick.
I'll say because you picked UW, I'm going to give you a 4.
I like that. Thank you.
Well, chocolate is always welcome. Just putting that out there. But in all seriousness, I think it is not unlikely that you just get ghosted by a former trainee. It happens. I mean, that people's lives moves on, and also you sort of, as I said, your career prospects change, your goals change, and so you might think that it maybe is not so important. So I would advocate that rather than stay in touch because this person might be of use to you in the future, it's good to stay in touch because this person wants the best for you. And even if your career goals change, they will continue to want the best for you. So in that respect, I would say approach it as if you would want somebody who's going to want to advocate for you rather than like out of a selfish interest, although the selfish interest is totally fine as well. I think the boundaries issue is an important one, which is that there is still a level of formality depending on what the nature of the relationship is. So that formality, both parties should be comfortable with dropping those boundaries. The email should certainly not be so informal and so kind of cursory that you suddenly wonder what happened to that formal relationship and has been replaced by this relationship that looks like a shouting match on social media. Although I did stay in touch with Isabel on social media with these job opportunities. That's actually how I was able to more readily communicate with her, because a lot of job opportunities actually get advertised on social media now, and it's actually a trivial thing for me to send those her way. And that was actually how she learned about a lot of these opportunities as well. So I would say that certainly take advantage of all forms of communication. It's really important for interns who are going through this for the first time to recognize that their advisors have done this before. They know what the expectations are for an internship. They actually know what it does to make a successful internship and make a successful relationship. It's really good to actually have that conversation early about what your career goals and aspirations are, and then also what do you hope to get out of this? Like what are you trying to get out of this experience? And that includes, I'd love to get a really good letter or recommendation from you at the end of this that I can apply to graduate school or apply to program in the biotech industry. And having that kind of transparency about communication just makes it just a very seamless thing. Having had trainees for nearly 16 years now, I've written letters of recommendation for all but perhaps 2 or 3 of them, and it's not because I didn't want to write letters for them. They just never really reached out to me. So it's not an unusual ask. It is completely part of the process, and it's my responsibility to take an intern. I want to write a letter, and I want to write a good letter on their behalf. So they should not feel at all awkward. However, it's really good to clear the air about career goals and aspirations right at the beginning of the relationship so that nobody gets ambushed or surprised by the nature of the request later on.
So just keep trying. I'm not offended if you bump the email thread and tell me, or hey, I need an answer to this. Or,
As per my last email.
Right, do it. I encourage that because emails will get buried very fast the longer you have an email account. And it's mostly spam, so we kind of get conditioned to not pay much attention to our emails, and maybe once or twice a day I'll get an email that's like a personalized email to me that I'll read. So it can get lost in the mix. But don't take it personally. I want to answer the email and respond. It just can kind of get away from you.
Making sure that you're reaching out by an effective means of communication is really good. It actually has happened to me that a intern reached out to me and they were like worried because they hadn't heard back, and it turned out that there was some strange word in their initial email that got that letter sent to spam because it was not like an email address that I heard back from. I would say that it's really important to have some connections, not just with the PI, but with all the other people that you made connections with, and they can definitely advocate on your behalf saying, did you get this email from Isabel? She's worried that she hasn't heard from you. She might be worried that she has offended you in some way, and that's a really surefire way to get the PI to at least get the response out really quickly, if not the letter itself.
Oh, I see. Well, it makes sense in my mind because it's like you're a flash and I'm a flash.
The flash
so
are between us.
So
Wait, we're supposed to be between them.
Oh, so that's evidence that he's not human.
Right.
You're a flash.
I'm a flask?
You're a flash.
You're a flask.
And you're like a low quality flask. I'm kidding. No.
That is a well-loved flask.
It's kind of like turbid, right?
Yeah, but it's gotten a lot of use.
It's aged.